Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and tonight we're going to talk about this article that was out in two places today. It was on Yahoo, it was on ABC, it's the exact same article, and it was probably in more places than this, but by Thomas Pipert. And he says that ski areas aim for more efficient snowmaking amid the drought because they have to get efficient. There's a less water to be used for snowmaking, and b they need more snowmaking because there's less snow covering the slopes. So snowmaking has become high tech and big business, and it's aimed at keeping business basically. It it's used like in the East, you know, in America, in the East, a lot of resorts are rely almost entirely on snowmaking, and out west, the mountains, they really, at the lower elevation of the mountain, will really use it a lot on like the catwalks and some of the runs that get you to the bottom of the mountain, just because at the end of the season, when there's still skiing up top in the higher elevations, the people have to get down to the bottom. I remember one year when I lived in Vail that the skiing down to the bottom was pretty sketchy. It really was, even with the snowmaking that they do. And this was in the 90s, and they started loading people down. People started actually, at the end of the day, just taking the chairlift to the bottom instead of skiing that bottom part of the mountain because it was pretty sketchy. And I wouldn't do that because then, like if the guys saw you getting off at the bottom, they'd razz you, and that's what I thought until then all of a sudden one day I turn around, I'm like, oh, the boys from town, that's what they call themselves, the boys. They were taking it down. They're like, I'm not going to kill my skis. But, this is all being used for business. It definitely isn't for quality. Is there a difference between man-made snow and artificial snow? Well, I don't know. You tell me. This is a photo courtesy of NASA. This is a Men's Journal article about the science behind snowmaking. And the image on the left is a close up of natural snow. That the one on the right is man made snow. So they say it turns out there is merit to the notion that natural snow is better. And yeah, that's why I moved out west to ski. I grew up in the east, and I actually quit my job to learn how to ski, and I moved out west because I wasn't skiing that. That is not skiing. That's sliding down the hill, and most people do it in a very uncontrolled manner because this is so slick. It is, oh, putting an edge into that stuff. It's very dangerous. People just people don't ski anymore. See, especially out west, they'll take the groomers, and the groomers almost become, even if it's natural snow on the run that they groom all the time, it turns into maybe not this here, but something in between these two. It's not natural snow anymore, and it isn't as bad as the man-made snow. This is just frozen ice that they got to turn white, basically. I mean, it really is. There is nothing about this that is snow. Okay, a little further down in this article, I mean, look, they pile it up on top of each other. I forget what these piles are called, but they have a name for them. They call them something, and they make them in these big piles because if they just scattered it all out on the ground, I mean, this look here, there's a little bit of snow covering up top, but down here at the base of the mountain, there's no snow. So if they just sprayed this on the ground, it will melt really easy. But if they spray it into this huge pile here, it's like block ice, right? It's going to last a lot longer than cubes of ice. So although snowmaking, when you see it happening, it looks like, yeah, it's snowing. No, no, right here. I mean, it looks like it's not. This is water coming out of a hose and then it freezes in the air, and this is like nothing like snow, as really is proven by this picture here. So why does the ski areas do it? Well, they do it for business. You know, Basically, it kind of comes down to economics. You know, this is Wikipedia. It says between 2008 and 13, the American ski and snowboard resorts experienced annual revenues of about 3 billion. And, a lot of that, well, not a lot of that, but some of it that they count on is definitely early season, and then they want to keep those lifts, running as long as they can, because it's not just about the ski area anymore. It's about the lodging, you know, uh, and the ski areas own a lot of the lodging. And then there's a lot of businesses in town that, run rented units, and they're property managers, and a lot of people, workers, depend on those homes for those rentals, for jobs, and those lodges to be filled, and the restaurants, and then the ski shops, and just everything. Everything is based upon, we got to get people here. So they need snowmaking out west. In the east, they really need snowmaking for the whole season. But out west, they really need it to keep this $3 billion a year. It's it says that the value of winter tourism in the United States is estimated to be around 12.2 billion per year. So that's the whole, tourism. That includes all the flights that people take, right? Skiing's so environmental that, especially, most of the vacationers at the Western resorts all fly there, right? Okay. And, but then, it comes down to the flights, it comes down to the car rentals, it comes down to, the shuttles, it comes down to everything, the whole industry. And, it comes down to uh, tourist attractions that people get, when they get to the resorts, and they want to go out to that horse-drawn sleigh ride that takes you out to the dinner, or, some resorts have, what do they call it in Alaska when the sleds that are run by dogs, dog sleds. There you go, dog sleds. There's just so much involved, and all of these businesses don't want to be sitting around at the end of November and through December because there's no snow. And, even into April, they like to keep going. It's expensive for the mountain, but the mountain keeps it open really a lot because of the lodging and because of their restaurants, and then the rest of the community. And, additionally, it pays taxes. It's not just federal taxes, but state and local taxes. You go to these ski resorts, they all have a tax, and their town operates off of tax, and so they have to keep the ski area running, whether there's natural snow for it or not. And snowmaking, it uses a lot of water, but well, right here, about 107 gallons of water a minute. And a lot of that is due to lost evaporation. And that's why, they're trying to make it more efficient just in how much water is used. And they're also trying to make it more efficient in the energy that it takes to run these. Because one of these articles here, it says that, I think it's this one. It says that right here, 67% of the energy consumed at ski resorts is used for, from October to January, 67% of the energy consumed at ski resorts is used for snowmaking. It takes a lot of energy to pump water up the mountain to have all of these snow blowers out there, snowmakers, not blowers, um, creating, as I called it, frozen ice. I mean, that's really what it came down to. I won't ski man-made snow. I'm a snow snob, and there's a reason. This is not snow. It just makes the ground white, but it's done so that resorts can keep operating. Truly, in the East, I really don't know if there would be much skiing if it wasn't for snowmaking. And out west, they really do use it to. They do expand it every year too. It's a big operation. I mean, right here, a basin, they only started making snow back in the 2002-2003 season. This is from Open Snow. That's out west. Their base elevation is 10.8, the mid mountain 11.5, and the top is 12.5. So, out west at the high elevations, they don't really make it, but in some high trafficked areas, they creep into it more and more and more every year, and then they mix real snow with this whatever they want to call it that comes out of these guns that is not snow. You ski through this, you're not skiing through it. You're like going down the top of it. Your skis are not going. If this were snow, your skis would be down like these tracks, kind of. Pretend this is downhill. This would be the track of your ski. If you were actually skiing down this here, you would be on top of it. You're not penetrating it. This is not snow, but they do it for business. And a lot of, the concern is how much water it takes, but they say that the water goes back. Once it melts, it goes back into the streams. It goes back into, you know, the pools of water. Like a lot of ski areas, they have created their own reservoirs where they, you know, water coming down from the mountain just all gets contained in. So they use that water for snowmaking. And so, they say that the melting of this is the same as melting of snow. So about 80% of it does go back into the water basin, but it does use a lot of water and it does use a lot of energy, and it's not real snow. And these are not fun at all to ski through. Like, look at this guy. His head is down. Like, he doesn't. If you were skiing, you wouldn't even ski through. You do have to ski through these sometimes, and you'll turn your head away. If you were skiing down this catwalk this way, your head would be turned like this guy's here, and he'd be hunched over. You don't want to be underneath these things. They're not fun. They're not fun at all. But they do it for the economy. And is it responsible? Yeah. I don't know. Vail says that they're, looking for more efficient. So yeah, right here in this article that came out today, it says that in its earnings call, in December, so that must have been 2021 because this is an article right now. It's January 25th, 2022. So it says that in its December call that they were making a $3.6 million investment into its sustainability efforts this year, including making its snowmaking operations more energy efficient. Vail. Vail, who since 1993 has been refusing the solutions the world needs in actual sustainability. Um, Only they would include, an environmentally abusive action in their sustainability agenda. I think they're thinking sustainability in terms of them having a future, but they're trying to make it more energy efficient. It does use an intense amount of energy. Pump water is heavy. Pumping it uphill, it they say in the past few years, Vail has upgraded more than 400 snow guns across its resorts to blast more snow with less energy and less time. So they call that responsible. Well, Vail would because they won't become environmentally literate. But it's what everybody's doing. You got to do what everybody's doing. And up here, it says, yeah, right here, the snowmaking uses about 1.5 billion gallons per year of water per year in Colorado. In Colorado. So that's high altitude. That's where the resorts use for the amount of terrain that they have, a small amount of snowmaking. But right here it says 80% of the water used in snowmaking returns to the watershed when the snow melts in the spring. But it's part of our tourism. It's part of what we do in Colorado. Okay, it's snowmaking is just one of those things that the ski industry, who is still, you know, screaming for solutions and coming up with, the National Ski Area Association, the decade-old climate challenge. They're always trying to find ways to save the industry and to combat climate change. Except, the National Ski Area Association is so opposed to solutions that literally, when I went over their sustainability director's head to her boss and said, you know what, this lady won't allow solutions, they called the police on me, and the Denver police let me know in no uncertain terms that if I ever bothered them with solutions again, I would be arrested. And Vail, Vail, they probably wish they had done that. I don't know, but they're opposed to. Everybody's opposed to Big Sky. Big Sky is massively. They're all opposed to it, but they all pretend like they care. They have a decades old climate challenge. They pretend like they care, but this industry just keeps taking one unenvironmental step after another, after another, after another. And snowmaking is one of those steps. It's a big step. It was taken decades ago. And then as soon as people do it, well, then you know, it just becomes standard operating business. Like, there wasn't grooming of trails until somebody put a groomer out there, and now it's standard operating business. And that was another big unenvironmental step that was taken away from when skiing was just skiing and people went out and had fun. And what now snowmaking does is it just creates these very slick areas that get groomed all the time, and it allows people to slide down the hill in a lot of times a very uncontrolled fashion. But it's a lot easier than skiing. That snow, man. I'm not skiing. That's You should hear them. You should hear like tourists on a powder day. There's snow. I'm not going out in that snow. Like, it's not a groomed run. Seriously, it's insane. So here they are once again. The ski industry is thinking that by making an unenvironmental action more responsible in the amount of water and energy they use, that they're being environmental. But they're not. They are still, 1,000 or more steps away from when we were environmental and we didn't have environmental problems. And doing this to, for the economy, yep, you got to have an economy, I guess, until I don't know, until one day, as this article down here at the end quotes Auden Schindler, who gets way too much press because he admits he's a complete failure, but you know, the ski industry is not on track to be viable beyond 2050, which then they'll be wondering what happened. But they just kept taking one unenvironmental step after the other, along with everything else. And, we're going to clean up our operations. We're going to do good snowmaking. And we're going to cut our carbon footprint. That's awesome and noble and moral and good business, but it's not a solution to a global problem. Right? That's maybe the only intelligent thing I've ever heard Auden say. But is he doing anything about it? No, no. As Aspen's out there snowmaking too. And just like Aspen's doing everything unenvironmental because they've been under that fool's leadership for decades, who admits I just did a video about it, that he's a complete failure. So there's the ski industry out there getting press, and once again, if they really cared, they would just make actual radical changes, and they probably wouldn't have snowmaking. So stay tuned, people.